him to be by himself. This is going to be position 3, Mr. Boyd.
Okay, and who's representing Mr. Boyd?
Your Honor, good afternoon. I will be representing Mr. Boyd.
Good afternoon, Ms. Gant. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Boyd. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
He's actually
Hearing impaired,
Okay.
Your Honor. We will need the live transcription enabled.
Okay,
He does not require the services of an interpreter, Your Honor. I mean, a hearing sign language interpreter.
he just needs to be able to read.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and let me, is it on?
yeah, I got it.
Okay. Good afternoon again, Mr. Boyd. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 22 CR 008368G with battery, family violence, and cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. Is there a history?
Your Honor, the defendant does not
Pre-trial?
have. Can you
Go
hear
ahead,
me,
Ms.
Your Honor?
Jackson. Yes, go ahead. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. The defendant does not have any prior cycles on file. The defendant was not recommended for a UJR through pretrial because of the nature of the charge.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Campbell. Is this your case?
Are you there?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. The facts as alleged for this defendant are that on the date of December 16th of this year, at the location of 1115 Springwood Connector in Atlanta at approximately 11:35 p.m., officers did respond to the above referenced location. They did learn that this defendant did grab the victim in this matter, Miss LaPortia Pitts, and that is spelled Laportia. He did grab her by her arm with a tight hand. And when the officers arrived, they did see visible bruising on that arm. And they did also observe a small laceration. In consideration of the fact that this defendant has no priors, but also balancing it with the fact that the allegations in this case are very serious to the state because it does involve a domestic violence incident. The state's recommendation for bond is a $3,000 surety bond, as well as no further contact with the victim, LaPortia Pitts, a stay away from the incident location of 1115 Springwood Connector, as well as anger awareness. And it is my understanding that Ms. LaPortia Pitts may be present on the call, so Your Honor may sound for her when appropriate. Nothing further than this.
Thank you. Ms. Gant?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Antonio Boyd is 32 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. He states that he and the complaining witness, Ms. LaPortia Pitts, have been in a relationship for 7 years and they are engaged. They also share a 3-week-old child, and he also participates in the care of her other child, Your Honor. Mr. Boyd completed high school. He has an associate's and business degrees in business administration. He is currently employed, excuse me, at the Clayton County Sheriff's Department as a corrections officer. He has been in that position since May of 2022. He is required to carry a weapon, Your Honor, as a condition of his employment. We would ask that any restrictions for weapons that he be allowed to carry a firearm while he is carrying out his employment duties. He denies the allegations. He is presumed innocent, and I would ask, Your Honor, that in light of my client's history of no prior arrests nor FTAs, I would ask this court for a signature bond. I have been in contact with Ms. Pitts. I provided the Zoom link information to her. She informs me that she wishes to have contact with Mr. Boyd, as does my client. Therefore, Your Honor, I'm requesting a no violent contact order, and we are opposed to any stay away conditions. Thank you, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, just briefly, the state does object to the defendant being allowed to have a weapon while on bond. he is alleged to have battered his girlfriend and the mother of his child within the presence of that minor child, which is my understanding is an infant. So the state is objecting to him being allowed to have his weapon while he's on bond. He's been charged with battery right now, but that's only because at the time that we accused the case, we could not ascertain the relationship between the parties, but we are going to make that amendment now that we have the information as to how these two individuals are related.
Okay, well, my calendar says battery family violence. So is that not the case at the present time?
Well, yeah, it should be battery family violence. So if that's what you had, that's what it should be.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Pitts. This is your opportunity to address the court if you would like to do so. And if you would like to do so, I need for you to unmute yourself, ma'am.
Yes, I don't want to pursue any charges against him if it's up
Okay,
to me.
hold on a second. Ms. Pitts, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Ms. Pitts. Tell me what you wanted to tell me.
I didn't want to pursue any charges against him. I basically called the cops just to get him to leave because he was upset. And I don't want to pursue any charges that could hinder his career and all that other stuff. So
Has this happened before?
we get into arguments, but typically I just ask him to leave and he'll leave or I'll leave. But we're all just stressed. We just had a baby and we're not getting no sleep. And it's just, it's a lot going on in the house. So
Are you afraid of him?
no, I'm not.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pitts.
You're welcome.
It is going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge. No further violent contact with Ms. Pitts. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. He can have a weapon while he's at work, but he must leave that weapon at his place of business. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good luck to you, Mr. Boyd.
Judge, will you break that bond down?
2,000, thank you, Ms. Bridgewater. 2,000 for the family violence, 1,000 for the cruelty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Your Honor, if I may, position 1 will require a breakout with the interpreter and the client.
And the other one's another one too.
So do we have a room for that this afternoon?
Yeah, we'll have them done in courtroom 3.
Okay, just let me know when y'all are ready.
Okay, thank you. And also, is it through the jail or through pretrial, Judge?
It's through pretrial.
Okay.
And Your Honor, that announcement also applies to position, I believe it's position 4, Mr. Cornelia. That is a conflict case.
Yes.
So,
The interpreter.
That's correct.
what?
All right, Judge, if you can give us a second, I'll pull everybody else out.
Okay, thank you.
Judge,
Yes.
are they gonna need a breakout room or are they gonna call over to the jail to discuss this? Do you know?
I think they're gonna have it in a separate room, Ms. Bridgewater, for a breakout room.
Thank you.
This is gonna be position 2, Mr. Blunt.
That's what I'm asking.
Good afternoon, Mr. Blunt. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Blunt, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008367H with criminal trespass. Is there a history? Ms. Jackson?
Your Honor, the defendant has 2 cycles. It may be the current charge. The defendant's last arrest was December the 16th, 2022 for criminal trespassing, and that was in College Park, Georgia. There were no convictions listed in the GCIC, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. Campbell?
Yes, Your Honor. The facts as alleged are that on the date of it looks like it happened 2 days ago at the location of 2210 Sullivan Road in College Park at approximately 4:05 p.m. at Cadero Club Apartments. This defendant did use a brick to break and to bust out the victim's front driver's side window. The defendant and the victim are actually neighbors. The victim's name is Nicolette Lewis, and that's spelled Nicollete. The defendant actually told the police that the reason why he busted out the victim's window is because he thought that the vehicle belonged to him. However, he also stated to the officers that he did not have a car. The victim did actually show the officer a picture of the defendant busting out her car window. We have had contact with the victim in this matter. She stated to our victim advocate that she does not know the defendant personally. However, she stated that this is not the first time that the defendant has bothered her there in their neighborhood. She stated that the defendant previously followed her up the stairs to her apartment. He began tussling with her, and he actually tried to come into her apartment without her consent. And he put his foot in the door of her apartment to try to come into her apartment as she was trying to fight the defendant off. So for those reasons, she stated to our office that she is very afraid of this defendant, and that she's also afraid that he may try to retaliate against her. And so for those reasons, the state's bond recommendation is a $4,000 surety bond, a stay away from the incident location of 2210 Sullivan Road, the victim's apartment specifically, as well as no further contact with Nicolette Lewis and anger awareness, nothing further.
Thank you.
Oh, I apologize, Your Honor. And the victim is present on the call, and so you can sound for her at the appropriate.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Nathaniel Blunt is 26 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 10 years. He does have family here, including his mother. He earned a GED, and he is currently employed at New Rest. He has been in that position for about 7 months, Your Honor. Mr. Blunt denies the allegations. He is presumed innocent. He states that he is having a difficult time while incarcerated due to mold in the jail. It is aggravating a health condition that he has, Your Honor. I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. Blunt's behalf and ask that Your Honor just consider the criminal trespass charge that is before you. We do not have any accusations regarding any stalking or terroristic threats. I again am requesting a signature bond. He does not have any prior convictions. We are opposed to any stay away conditions, being that he is a resident of that. My understanding is that he resides in building 19, apartment number 3. We are unopposed to any orders for no contact and for staying away from Ms. Lewis's residence, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Lewis, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, I'll need to swear you in, and you'll have to unmute yourself. You're not required to, but if you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity. No? Okay, that's fine, Ms. Lewis. All right, if there's nothing further, it's gonna be a $4,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Ms. Wilson. Stay away from Ms. Wilson's apartment. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Mr. Blunt, let me express to you what stay away means, and no further contact. No further contact means absolutely no contact. No phone contact, obviously no physical contact, no internet contact, no contact whatsoever. You don't, you're not to be anywhere close to Ms. Lewis's, to Ms. Lewis or her apartment. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Blunt. You also, Ms. Lewis.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Welcome.
Position 7 and 8, Grayson. Come on.
Judge, I just wanted to mention before you go forward, this is Ms. Gant's case, but I believe I have the companion case, which is Ms. Harmon, I believe. I just wanted to put that out there just in case it's relevant to how you proceed.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Lynch. Good afternoon, Mr. Grayson. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Grayson, you've been charged in position 7, case 22 CR 008373F with battery family violence. You've been charged in position 8, case number 22 CR 008374F with suspended registration, no insurance, failure to have license on person, and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
The defendant has 3 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was June the 5th, 2002 in Clayton County for a probation violation. The defendant does not meet the criteria for UJR, Your Honor. The defendant did receive first offender treatment in 2002 in Clayton County for felony obstruction of an officer. That case was sealed July the 6th, 2017. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Ms. Sari.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. For position 7, that's the traffic case. This incident took place on I-85 southbound at Donald Lee Hallowell in Atlanta. An officer responded to that incident location regarding an accident call. The defendant was not the at-fault driver. However, during the investigation of the scene, the defendant's tag was ran and the registration came back suspended, and the vehicle did not have insurance. The defendant also did not have his license on his person. And while speaking to the other parties involved in this accident, the defendant took his belongings from his car and left the scene. The officer had to make several attempts to get the defendant to a mutual location so they can finish the investigation. And it appears that the defendant did not meet with the officer, so a warrant was taken out for his arrest. Your Honor, in this case, there is currently a bond at $8,000 surety. The state is recommending to reduce the bond to $2,000 surety. That's $500 on each charge with conditions of no driving without a valid license, registration, or insurance, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Your Honor, for position 8 with the battery family violence, this incident took place at 43 Woodward Avenue. And I'm sorry, I have the positions switched.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Ridgewater. 43 Woodward Avenue, Southeastern Atlanta. This is a cross-defendant case. That cross-defendant's name is Little, common spelling. Last name is Harmon, Harmon. The cross-defendant in this case went to the defendant's home to retrieve the cell phone of their daughter as a punishment to her. The defendant, he left the phone on the stairs for Ms. Harmon to pick up. And apparently Ms. Harmon did not like the fact that he left the phone on the stairs, and she started banging on his door and demanded that their daughter come out and leave with her. An altercation ensued, and according to Ms. Harmon, the defendant grabbed her by the collar and threw her against the door. Ms. Harmon did sustain a bruise to her chest. The defendant stated that Ms. Harmon threw the phone at his face and cut his nose. So being that there were conflicting stories, no witnesses that were noted, the officer was not able to determine the primary aggressor. So both parties were arrested. And Ms. Harmon's charges will actually be changed to battery family violence. In this case, the state is recommending a $3,000 surety bond, no contact with the cross defendant. We're not asking for a stay away, as this appears to be the defendant's home, 1 day anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Ms. Gant? Ms. Gant?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Michael Grayson is 41 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 30 years. He shares 2 children with Ms. Harmon, the cross defendant, 2 daughters, ages 13 and 12. He states that both he and Ms. Harmon are actively involved in the care of the children, and that the children stay with him a good number of days during the week so that he can get them off to school. Mr. Grayson also has 2 additional children, ages 21 and 5 years old. He earned a high school diploma. He also has technical certifications as a welder and a mechanic. He is self-employed. However, he states that his business has not been profitable this year. As we heard from the state, the cross defendant was arrested. My client denies being the primary aggressor. He states that Ms. Harmon, came to his residence and basically started this altercation, and that he was merely defending himself, as he is entitled to do under the law. We did not hear about any recent history for Mr. Grayson. Therefore, I am requesting a signature bond on his behalf for position number 8. I'm sorry, position number 7, the battery case. And regarding the position number 8, the traffic offenses, I am requesting a signature bond. These are driving offenses. My client states that he was unaware of the warrant, Your Honor. I did have the occasion to, no, I'm sorry, I did not have the occasion to speak to Ms. Harmon, but did reach out to conflict counsel regarding wishes for contact. My client would like to continue having contact with Ms. Harmon, so we are asking the court for no violent contact. Then in closing, a signature bond and no violent contact, Your Honor. Thank you.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry, we would also like to add third-party transfer of any minor children regarding position 7, which is the battery family violence case.
Lynch, what is your client's position on contact?
Your Honor, I spoke to her about a not requesting non-violent or no further violent contact. She was in agreement with that, if Your Honor would be willing to, for the simple reason that they do have 2 children together. From speaking to her, normally, handing off the children is not an issue. Obviously, there was an issue at this time. She does want to have no violent or harassing contact, if Your Honor would allow it. So that is her position, is that she would be in agreement. She did state that she's not in fear from him.
Ms. Jackson, what is Ms. Harmon's position number 9's criminal history, if any?
Position 9, Your Honor.
Yes, Little Harmon.
Just a moment, please.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, as pretrial is pulling the history for Ms. Harmon, the state would also argue that there has not been enough cooling off period. This happened about 2 days ago. It's an open case with both parties being arrested. So to prevent any further altercations, we would ask for that no contact.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the defendant has 5 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was April the 26th, 2017 with the city of Atlanta. Police Department for criminal trespassing. There was no disposition for that arrest, and prior to that, there are no convictions listed in the GCIC, Your Honor.
Okay. So thank you, Ms. Jackson. For Mr. Grayson, position 7, the battery family violence, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. No further violent contact with Little Harmon, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right, good luck to you, Mr. Grayson. Oh, and as far as the position 8, it's going to be a $250 signature bond on each charge. There are 4 charges. That makes it a total of $1,000 signature bond through the jail on position 8 charges. Good luck to you, Mr. Grayson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Are there any special conditions on that one? On the traffic?
No.
Okay.
Do we want to go to courtroom 3?
Yes, Judge, that's gonna be Ms. Harmon sitting in front of you.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. Harmon. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 008375F for simple battery family violence. I've already got the history, Ms. Sori. Anything to add?
Nothing further, except we would still reiterate no contact.
Okay, and what's your bond recommendation?
Sorry, yes, it is a $3,000 surety. Stay away, no contact with the cross defendant, 1-day anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Okay, thank you. It's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. No further violent contact with Mr. Grayson, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Mr. Lynch?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you, Ms. Harmon.
I'm sorry, do we have the interpreter on? Because I have 2 interpreter cases in courtroom 3. We can do the breakout session with those if possible.
Okay, I know one of those is with you, Mr. Lynch, is that right?
That's right. I have one, Mr. Carnala, I believe. I'm not sure if I said.
Okay, would you like to do that one first?
Sure.
I'm sorry, if possible, we can do the female first because I have to keep them separated. Once I do the female, I'll bring the gentleman in.
Okay, so whose case is that? Yours, Ms. Gant?
Yes, Your Honor, and also both interpreter cases are cross defendant cases, Your Honor.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yes.
Okay. So Madam Interpreter.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, well, I can't be in the breakout room with just myself in courtroom 2, so.
Yes, Judge Morrow, I think they accidentally sent myself and the victim advocate to the breakout room, so we just left the breakout room, so I'm not sure what exactly happened.
So let's see, is Ms. Gant in the breakout room?
I was placed in the
there you go.
but I'm returning because of the other parties there. Yeah.
Okay, and where, as I was asking before I left, where's the, Madam Interpreter, are you with us?
I did see her earlier.
Yeah, I see her there. She might have stepped away. All right, well, I'm sorry. Well, let's go on until the interpreter is back with us. Can somebody send her a message that we're ready for her, please? Thank you.
We can go to position number 5, Judge, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Dennis. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Dennis, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008371F with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
The defendant does not have any prior cycles
Okay,
listed in the GCIC, Your Honor. The defendant appeared to be recommended for UJR to the jail, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
thank you. Ms. Campbell?
Yes, Your Honor. The facts as alleged for this defendant are that on the date of December 16th of this year at approximately 10:15 in the morning, the location of 80 Pine Street Northeast in Fairburn, this defendant allegedly punched her live-in boyfriend, Mr. John Campbell, the victim in the left eye and lip. The victim did have a swollen eye and he did have lacerations to both his upper and lower lip. Upon officer arrival, they did observe those injuries. The victim's shirt was also torn during this incident. And the victim's mother is actually the person that called the police. According to her, she called her son on the phone, the victim, and she heard a fight in the background. A third-party witness, Mr. Josh Campbell, who is the victim's brother, also did confirm that this defendant did hit the victim. The state's recommendation for bond is a $3,000 surety bond, as well as no further contact with the victim, John Campbell, as well as a stay away from the incident location. I do believe that I did see the victim present on the call earlier, so Your Honor may sound for him inappropriate. Nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Gant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Michaela Dennis is 18 years old. She has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area since 2019. She is originally from Augusta, Georgia. She does not have any family here. Your Honor, Ms. Dennis completed the 10th grade and she is currently employed, although marginally, as a housekeeper. She has been in that position for about 2 weeks. She denies the allegations, Your Honor. She states that she was merely defending herself, that she recently had surgery around in her neck area, and that the complaining witness, Mr. Campbell, was I guess applying some pressure there, so she was more so defending herself. She does not have any prior history, Your Honor. I am requesting a signature bond on Ms. Dennis's behalf. She does not have anyone to co-sign with her. And I did have the occasion to speak to Mr. Campbell. He informed me that he would like to continue having contact with Ms. Dennis, as does my client. I'm asking for a no violent contact order, and we are also opposed to a stay away. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Campbell, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, now's your opportunity. I'll need for you to activate your camera and I'll have to swear you in.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can put your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
I would like to say that this wasn't nothing that it was one specific aggressor. It's just we both had a falling out and we both had a scuffle. I did choke her. I did that. But that's because I was really just trying to restrain anything from happening. But it's not no one person's fault. And also the person that said they hit me, that he saw her hit me, that's my brother. He actually launched onto her too. That wasn't said. It's a lot more things about this that wasn't said. And I don't want to press charges, and I don't understand the case at all right now, because the person that called the police was my mom, and she wasn't there. So she doesn't have anything to say that she saw or anything like that. And my brother, he has mental issues. He can't fully explain what happened or anything like that. So I think this would need to be like further investigated than just this. But I can say that we both had something to do with that. And I don't want to not have contact with her, because this is just an unfortunate situation that happened because of something that ain't had nothing to do with any of us. Had nothing to do with neither of us.
Well, choking somebody has something to do with somebody. So, I mean,
Right.
you told me
I
that
mean-
you were choking her, so I can't let you, I can't let her back into the household to protect her.
No,
and
no,
I
no,
can't
no.
let, or you,
Sorry.
I mean, so I don't know what you're telling me here.
I'm just saying
Apparently
that
somebody felt like the situation was out of hand, that the police were called.
it was
you-
out of hand, but the situation was stopped before the police was called. The police was called before anybody could even say what was going on. I did have things like I had like a busted lip, the bottom of my lip was busted and my eye was swollen. But I can't sit here and say that I know that for a fact that she hit me, because the whole time I was just grabbing her and restraining her and moving her around. And it was a scuffle. We both was falling everywhere and all that. So it's not, I can't sit there and say that she just hit me, because I really don't. I can't sit there and say that. I can't really say that. All I know is the whole situation has something to do with us, both of us, and only one person was locked up and interrogated and all that. I didn't have too much to say about anything. My mom just said everything, and she wasn't there. She didn't see anything that happened.
Okay, well, you've said enough today, Mr. Campbell, for me to know that that's not a good situation, and it's not a situation where I put either of you back together at this point in time. Okay, so regardless of what your mother said and what your brother said, what you said to me is enough for me to know that something's going on in your household that shouldn't be, that needs to be addressed. And until that's addressed, I'm not going to allow you all to have contact. So Ms. Gant, I'm going to let her out. So it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail, but she's to have no further contact with Mr. Campbell and stay away from the Pine Street address. She can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that she might have there. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Campbell and Ms. Dennis.
Judge,
Yes.
was that an SOB through the jail or pretrial? I'm sorry.
It's through the jail.
Okay, thank you. Position number 6 is next.
Sir, I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so after everything is solved and all of that, I have to, because right now I'm not over there at the address anymore, but I have to go back there and get some things. Will I be allowed over there too?
Okay, well, so you're telling me, Mr. Campbell, Ms. Bridgewater, you're not on mute.
I didn't hear you.
Hold on, Mr. Campbell. Okay, now if someone could unmute Mr. Campbell. Mr. Campbell, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I didn't see it, but
okay. I just don't want you all around each other. So she can go back to that address if you're not there. So if you're telling me that you're gonna go live someplace else, then Ms. Dennis will be allowed back there. If you're telling me that you're gonna live there, she's gonna have to find a different place to live.
No, I'm not. I can't live there, and she can't live there either, because that's not. It's not me or her house. It's my mother's.
Oh, okay. All right. So, well, if she has any belongings there, she can go back one time to retrieve them.
Okay.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Campbell.
You too.
Who do we have next?
Position number 6, Judge.
Good afternoon, Ms. Filson. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Filson, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008372D with driving under the influence of alcohol. Concentration is 0.08 grams or more. Count 2, driving under the influence of alcohol, less safe. 2 counts of child endangerment, possession of an open alcohol container, and following too closely. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
The defendant does not have any prior cycles in the GCIC unit. The defendant appeared to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
Yes, Your Honor. The facts as alleged for this defendant are that on the date of December 17th of this year, At approximately 9:38 p.m. at the location of Haynesbridge Road and Old Alabama Road, this defendant was involved in a rear end collision. The officer was dispatched, and upon further investigation, he learned that this defendant struck another vehicle from the rear because she was following the vehicle too closely. Additionally, Your Honor, further investigation revealed that this defendant was actually under the influence of alcohol as she was operating that motor vehicle. More specifically, this defendant did blow a
Objection, Your
0.29.
Honor, foundation lacking. State has not and cannot set forth the reliability of any equipment that was used in testing, Your Honor.
It's a bond hearing, so this goes to the factors of the IALA factors, whether or not she's a dangerous community. So that's what's in the incident report. That's public information. So the state's going to put that on the record unless Your Honor tells her.
Go ahead, Ms. Campbell.
And Your Honor, so this defendant did blow a 0.298, which is almost 4 times over the legal limit. Her 7-year-old daughter, as well as her 8-year-old son, were in the backseat of the vehicle at the time of this incident. And additionally, Your Honor, the officers did observe several clues of impairment, to include the defendant actually couldn't even give the officer answers to his questions that made any sense. Her speech was slurred and her eyes were bloodshot and watery. Additionally, Your Honor, this defendant did have a cup of wine and an empty beer can within arm's reach of her person. Although this defendant doesn't have any priors, the state does have serious concerns about the nature of these allegations. She was more than almost 3 times over the legal limit. She had 2 different types of alcohol within arm's reach. She had those 2 little children in the back seat. And Your Honor, quite frankly, the state believes that she's a danger to the community and to the children that were in the car, considering the fact that she would get in her car and drive this intoxicated with her kids. And thankfully, there were no fatalities in this accident, but Your Honor does know that this could have gone completely differently. So for those reasons, the bond recommendation is an $8,000 surety bond, $3,000 on the DUI per se, and $1,000 on each of the remaining 5 counts. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Rebecca Filson is 42 years old. She has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area since 2005. She is the primary caretaker of her minor children, JF and EF. She also has family in the Atlanta, Georgia area, Your Honor. Ms. Filson has a college degree. She is currently employed at a rehabilitation center. She has been in that position since 2008. She denies the allegations. She is presumed innocent, Your Honor. This is a first in lifetime DUI. I'm requesting a bond of no more, well, a signature bond, Your Honor. And if Your Honor determines that she's ineligible, then I would ask for a bond of no more than $3,500. That would be $1,000 for each DUI, $500 for the child endangerment charges, and $250 for the remaining charges, for a total of $3,500, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, there's going to be a $3,500 good bond with $1,000 each for the DUIs, $500 each for the child endangerment, and $250 for the remaining 2 counts. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right. Good luck to you, Ms. Filson.
Thank you. Position number 10, next judge.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Holmes. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Thank you. Ms. Holmes, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008386H with distracted driving, failure to exercise due care, driving under the influence of alcohol less safe, failure to maintain lane, and possession of an open alcohol container, and driving under the influence of alcohol per se. Ms. Sorry, 5 charges, is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Jackson, is there a history?
Defendant has one prior cycle. The defendant's last arrest was April 11th, 2014 out of Lee's Summit Police Department in Missouri. There was no conviction for that arrest, Your Honor. The defendant appeared to meet the criteria for a UJR, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
All right, Ms. Sorry.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place on the Interstate 285 in East Point. The defendant was seen failing to maintain her lane and had her phone in her hand. A stop was initiated and the defendant did exhibit clues of impairment. Implied consent was read and the defendant agreed. She blew on the intoxilizer a .205. And also, when she was being arrested, she had several bottles of Stutterholm wine inside of her vehicle. Your Honor, as we've heard from pretrial, this defendant does have a history out of Missouri. I do believe she is a resident of Missouri, so the state would argue that she does not have ties to the community, to Georgia. So she does present a risk of flight. The state's recommendation in this case is an $8,000 surety bond. That's $3,000 on the DUI per se, $2,000 on the DUI less safe, $1,000 on the remaining charges, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Ms. Gant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jasmine Holmes is 29 years old, Your Honor. She, in fact, has community ties. She is a traveling healthcare professional. I do have a local address for her. I'm happy to place that in the chat. She has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area since April of 2022. She completed high school and has she is a certified healthcare provider. She is working for a local staffing company. She's been in that position since January, or with that particular company since January of 2022. She denies the allegations. I am requesting a signature bond on Ms. Holmes's behalf. If Your Honor determines that she's ineligible, then I would ask for a bond of, if my math is correct, $2,750. That is $1,000 for each DUI and $250 for the remaining charges, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, so it's going to be $1,000 for each of the DUIs, $250 for the other 3 charges. That makes a total of $2,750. Good bond, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Holmes.
And shall I place the her local address in the chat?
Yes, that'll be fine. Thank you, Ms. Gant.
Thank you.
Position number 18 is next, Judge.
Okay.
What you say, Lord? Hold on.
Good afternoon, Ms. Williams. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Williams, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008381G with willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and criminal trespass. Is there a history? Ms. Jackson?
The defendant has one prior cycle. The defendant's last arrest was April 13th, 2021 in Durham, North Carolina for assault. And that charge was dismissed July 14th, 2021. The defendant appeared to meet the criteria for UJ through the jail, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Todd.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Yesterday, Officer M. Chandler was called to the Hilton Hotel located at 255 Cortland Avenue. When he arrived on scene, he spoke with the head of security, Ms. Teresa Wingfield. That's Teresa Wingfield, Wingfield. Ms. Wingfield informed the officer that the defendant had come to the hotel on several prior occasions, claiming that she was staying there. When the officer went and spoke with the defendant, she claimed that she had left her wallet in one of the hotel rooms. The officer went back and spoke to Ms. Wingfield and was able to confirm that there was no wallet found in any room, as well as no wallet turned into lost and found. When asked to leave the premises by the officer, the defendant refused and stated that the officer would have to take her to jail because she wasn't going anywhere. When the officer attempted to arrest the defendant, she actively resisted arrest by pulling her hands away and throwing the officer's handcuffs on the ground. Considering the defendant's history in this case, the state is asking for a $1,000 signature bond for the willful obstruction count, a $2,000 signature bond for the criminal trespass, making for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, as well as a stay away from the Hilton Hotel and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Nothing further.
All right, so it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail and a stay away from the Hilton and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you? Good afternoon, Ms. Kim.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Good luck to you, Ms. Williams.
Judge, which charge gets the 2 and which one gets the 1?
The willful obstruction gets the 1, the criminal trespass gets the 2, and it's all through the jail.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready for the breakout position in courtroom number 2. I mean,
Madam,
in courtroom number 2.
Okay, is Madam Interpreter with us?
Okay, you done, you got to sit down, okay?
Okay, yes, good afternoon.
Yes, Your Honor, good afternoon.
Okay, let me just go ahead and swear you in so we can get that out of the way.
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm that you will translate from Spanish to English and English to Spanish to the best of your ability?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Okay, thank you. So let's put Madam Interpreter, and I guess this is your client, Ms. Gant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Madam Interpreter and Ms. Gant into breakout room, courtroom 3. And let's see, courtroom 2, let's go to a case that is not Ms. Gant's case.
Thank you.
Okay, Judge, that's courtroom 3, the interpreter and Ms. Gant.
Yes. Who do we have in courtroom 2?
Position 19, Wiley.
And who's representing Mr. Wiley?
Ms. Kim.
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wiley. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Wiley, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008379J with willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
Your Honor, the defendant does not have any prior cycles on file. The defendant appeared to meet the criteria for UJR through pretrial with an adult co-signer. The defendant is 19 years of age if you're considering pretrial, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Todd?
Thank you, Your Honor. On December 17th, Officer Jay Kubitz, that's Kubitz, was conducting a traffic stop when he encountered the defendant. When, excuse me, instead of staying with the officer to complete the stop, the defendant fled on foot from the scene. Considering the defendant's lack of a history in this case, Your Honor, the state is willing to recommend a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services, as well as no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Nothing further.
All right, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Do you agree with that, Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Good luck to you, Mr. Wiley.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Judge, you said 3,000 signature bond through the what?
2,000 signature through the jail.
Thank you.
Okay.
Position 13, Mr. I don't know how to say the name.
Good afternoon. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 22 CR 008384H with improper erratic lane change and driving under the influence of alcohol less safe. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
The defendant has one prior cycle. The defendant's last arrest was February the 16th, 1997 in Cobb County for DUI. The defendant has one misdemeanor sentence that was in 1997 out of Cobb County. The defendant received a nolo contendere sentence for DUI. In addition to that, the defendant appeared to meet the criteria for a UJR, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
Ms. Sari?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place on Georgia 400. Officers were actually dispatched to this incident location by a passing motorist who stated that a vehicle that was driven by the defendant was driving all over the road. The defendant's vehicle was caught up to by an officer, and the defendant was seen failing to maintain his lane and crossing over the center yellow fog lines before he made a jerking motion to correct himself into the proper lane of travel. Your Honor, lights were activated and the officer initiated a stop. The defendant did not immediately stop. And when he ended up stopping, he actually struck a curb before he stopped. When the officer approached the defendant, he smelled alcohol on his breath. The defendant displayed bloodshot, watery eyes. And when fields were conducted, he actually exhibited all 8 out of 8 clues and 4 out of 4 clues of impairment. Once implied consent was read, the defendant refused blood and breath. As we've heard from pretrial, the defendant does have a prior DUI conviction. Although he took a nolo plea, he does still present a risk of reoffending and being a danger to the community, driving while intoxicated. The state's recommendation is a $5,000 surety bond. That's $4,000 on the DUI, $1,000 on the improper lane, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, nothing further.
Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Kobyliak, I apologize for his last name. If I didn't pronounce correctly, he is 28. He has been here in Georgia for 28 years, Your Honor. He was born in 1964. He has been here in Georgia, and he has one child, and also he has been gainfully employed as a software engineer at Alpharetta, Georgia. He had the same job for the last 25 years, and he's from Ukraine. So we would like to request for UJR, and yet if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a UJR, we would like to request for split bond, maybe $1,000, a signature bond for erratic lane change, the traffic violation, and DUI charge. We would like to request for a $1,000 bond. Thank you.
All right, so for the improper erratic lane change, a $500 good bond. For the DUI, a $1,500 good bond. It makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
Position 12, Kid.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kidd. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Kidd, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008383D with battery. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
The defendant has 16 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was October the 30th, 2020 in Cherokee County for a probation violation. The defendant does not appear to meet the criteria for a UJR. The defendant does have misdemeanor convictions and sentences. There's one in 2019 for the violation of a family violence order out of Cherokee County. There's an additional one in 2019 out of Cherokee County for simple battery. One in 2013 for criminal trespassing and simple battery. And the defendant received a nolo contendere sentence in 2011 for driving while license suspended or revoked. There's one in 2009 out of Gwinnett County for a DUI. And one in 2005, the defendant received a nolo contendere sentence for driving while license suspended or revoked. The defendant does have a history of probation violations. There were 2 in 2020 and 1 in 2019. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Sally?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place at Chaplin's. That's a bar located at 555 South Atlanta Street in Roswell. The victim in this case, whose name is Stephen Roach, that's Stephen, Roach, common spelling. He stated that he went to this incident location to pick up his sister-in-law because the defendant left her there. While the defendant was sitting at the bar, the defendant came up from behind and punched the victim in his face. The victim did sustain lacerations on his tongue and a swollen cheek. There were several witnesses at the bar that stated the defendant randomly attacked the victim. As we've heard from pretrial, the defendant does have a violent history. In 2019, he was convicted of simple battery. Another 2019 violation of a family violence protection order. He's violated probation in 2019 and 2020. And he does have a 2019 FTA. So he presents a risk of flight and a danger to this community, Your Honor. Our victim was on the line. It does not appear that he is here at the moment. However, he did state to our office that he did not want contact with this defendant. The state's recommendation is a $4,000 surety bond, no contact with the victim, stay away, 1-day anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Kidd, we have no objection to stay away or no further contact. We're totally fine with it. Mr. Kidd is 37 years old and he was born and raised here in Georgia. He has 3 children, 5, 7, 12, that he has to be responsible for. He resides with one of them who is 5 years old, and he has been gainfully employed at as a sales representative for the last 4 years. We would like to request for a maximum $1,000 good bond. Thank you.
Right, it's going to be a $2,000 good bond, no further contact with Mr. Roach, stay away from the incident location, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Kidd.
Thank you.
Position 14, McCullough.
Good afternoon, Mr. McCullough. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. McCullough, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008385A with battery. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
The defendant does not have any prior cycles, Your Honor. No prior arrests in the GCIC. The defendant was not recommended for a UJR because of the nature of the charge. Nothing in addition.
Sorry.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place at 6100 Shoals Creek Drive in College Park. The victim in this case, whose name is Quinasha, that's QUINNAYSHA, last name Parker, common spelling. She went to the defendant's home to frankly just talk with him. The defendant let her inside, and when she refused to engage in sexual activities with the defendant, he hit her in the head. The victim decided to actually leave. At this point, she went outside and called an Uber. And when the defendant saw that the victim was leaving, he got even more upset and began fighting her. Eventually, he was dragging her by her hair and caused lacerations to her head, and then pulled out some of her locks from her scalp. Your Honor, the victim informed our office that she actually has 4 bald spots in her head, and the tension from the defendant pulling the locks out of her head causes her to have pain. She is on the call, and if you may sound for her when appropriate, even though this is the defendant's first arrest, as we've heard from pretrial, due to the nature of this offense, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, no contact with the victim. We're not asking for a stay away, as this appears to be the defendant's home, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. They broke up 2 months ago and they do not live together and they have no child together. We are completely okay with no further contact. My client has totally different story. I mean, from my understanding is that he's the one who wants to file a TPO restraining order against her, who came to his place without his permission and making all these false allegations. We would like to request for signature on bond. He's only 21 years old, actually 22. He's been here in Georgia for all his life. He does not have any children. No, but he has all other family members. He's gainfully employed at DHL warehouse as a picker. He's been responsible. He graduated from high school, and we would like to request for signature on bond. Thank you.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry, just to make a correction, the state is actually asking for a $5,000 surety on this.
Ms. Parker, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. You are not required to, but if you would like to address the court, I'll need for you to unmute yourself and activate your camera. Okay, Ms. Parker, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Thank you, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
I just want to say, first off, this isn't his first time putting his hands on me. He's done it several times before.
Okay, and what else would you like to tell the court?
That's all.
All right, thank you, ma'am. It's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Ms. Parker and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Parker and Mr. McCullough.
And Your Honor, could we have that through pretrial at least? We have the victim here stating that this is not the first time the defendant has put his hands on her. The allegations themselves with her hair being pulled out, we're asking for some type of monitoring if you are not inclined to do the surety bond.
I've made my ruling. Thank you, Ms. Sowry. Who do we have next?
Position 16, Woolen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Quillen. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 22 CR 008376F with simple battery in a public transit vehicle or station. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
The defendant has 33 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was April the 28th, 2022 in Cobb County for a failure to appear. The defendant does not meet the criteria for a UJR, Your Honor. The defendant does have prior felony convictions, one in 2004 for financial identity fraud, and one in 1997 for possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. And the defendant does have misdemeanor convictions. It's one in 2016 for battery, one in 2014 for theft by shoplifting, one in 2013 for simple assault, and one in 2004 deposit account fraud, and one in 1999 for a DUI. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Todd?
Thank you, Your Honor. Saturday, December 17th, Laterica Yearby, that's LATERRICA YEARBY, was sweeping the Marta Art Center station when the defendant began yelling at her for apparently not saying "excuse me" while sweeping. The situation was escalated by the defendant when he charged towards her, swinging her backpack and hitting her with it. As pretrial has stated, the defendant does have a significantly long violent history I want to reiterate, there was a 2013 conviction for simple assault, a 2016 conviction for battery, a 2017 conviction for battery, and a 2019 conviction for battery family violence. He also does have a history of 5 probation violations and 2 FTAs on his record, making this a clear risk of reoffense and possible flight risk. We are asking for a $2,000 surety bond, a no further contact with Ms. Yearby, a stay away from the MARTA Arts Center station, 1 day of anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Nothing further.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Pulliam is 53 years old. He has been here in Georgia for all his life, and he is single. He has no children. However, he has a brother and his mother here in Georgia. He's gainfully employed at a restaurant near Bucket area, Piedmont Avenue. He's working as a server, and he has been really good with his employment, and he would like to keep his job. He does not want to go back to the past where he had a lot of other issues. We would like to request for a signature on bond, and yet, if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond because of the past histories that we acknowledge, we would like to request for a maximum $1,000 good bond. Thank you.
All right, $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the MARTA Art Center station. No further contact with Ms. Yearby. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
Your Honor, I apologize. What was the bond amount, please?
1,000 good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We have next.
Sorry, Judge, I thought I was unmuted. Position 20, Yearby.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Yearby. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're doing by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Yearby. You've been charged in case 22 CR 008380F with loitering and prowling and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
The defendant has 31 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was July 6, 2022 for a probation violation. Those underlying charges were battery, substantial physical harm. The defendant does not qualify for UJR, Your Honor. The defendant does have a prior felony conviction that was in 2009 for aggravated assault. And the defendant does have misdemeanor convictions. It's one in 2019 for theft by shoplifting, one in 2016 for theft by shoplifting, one in 2014 for forgery in the 4th degree, and one in 2008 for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. I'm not really seeing a lot of information on that probation violation, Your Honor. It was in Fulton County as far as the conviction. The defendant does have a history of failure to appears. There was one in 2021, one in 2020, and one in 2019. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Todd?
Thank you, Your Honor. Yesterday, Officer Minter was dispatched to 469 Marietta Street in response to reports of a prowler. When he arrived on scene, he spoke with the on-site security officer, Willie Boatwright, Willie common spelling BOATWRIGHT. Mr. Boatwright informed the officer that the defendant was inside a U-Haul truck that had previously had its window broken out. Upon arrival to the U-Haul truck, officers did observe the defendant sleeping in the truck before he was detained. As pretrial stated, he does have a lengthy criminal history, Your Honor. He does, while it is not a conviction, he does have 2 prior arrests for criminal trespass, as well as 3 failure to appears out of Fulton County based on that battery substantial physical harm case. The state currently, there is set a $1,000 surety bond for the count of loitering and prowling. With the additional criminal trespass, we are asking for an additional $1,000, making for a total of a $2,000 surety bond, a stay away from 469 Marietta Street, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Irby is 75 years old, Your Honor. He has been here in Georgia for the last 50 years. Even though he has 2 children, he does not have a close relationship with them, so nobody can help him out. Yes. Actually, he was staying at Salvation Army, but then they have a limit on how many days that he can reside there. So he's right now residentially challenged, and he's interested in social worker services and their housing resources that they can provide. We would like to request for a signature on bond, considering his financial situation. He's qualified for public defender's service, so our office will continuously represent him, and we will continuously follow up with his social worker services visit. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, it's gonna be a $500 good bond on each charge, making for $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the Marietta Street address, no further contact with Mr. Boatwright, a social worker visit, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thank
Good
you,
luck to you,
Your Honor.
Mr. Yuzi.
Next, we have position number 15, Mr. Miller.
And can we
do the interpreter case first, please? Because I have to keep them separated.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. And tell me again, courtroom 3, what position? Oh, is this position 1?
Yeah, she should be position number 1, Judge.
Okay, and is Ms. Gant with us?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Aguilera. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Buenas tardes, señora Aguilera. Yo soy el juez Eric Morrow y estamos conduciendo esta audiencia a través de a distancia. ¿Está de acuerdo con que continuemos su caso de esta manera?
Sí.
Yes.
You've been charged with battery family violence.
Usted tiene un cargo por golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar.
Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
¿Hay antecedentes, señora Jackson?
The defendant appeared to have 3 cycles.
Parece que esta acusada tiene 3 ciclos de antecedentes penales.
The defendant's last arrest was February the 18th, 2022 for battery, family violence, and obstruction of an officer.
En el 2022, el 18 de febrero, parece que esta acusada tuvo un cargo de violencia familiar, crueldad ante un menor y obstrucción a la autoridad.
And cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, and that was in Chamblee, Georgia.
Y también crueldad ante un menor en el 3er grado en Chamblee, Georgia.
That case appeared to be still pending in DeKalb County, Georgia, Your Honor.
Y ese caso parece estar pendiente en el condado de DeKalb.
The defendant has 1 prior misdemeanor conviction that was in 2018 for DUI.
Y también tiene una condición en el año 2018. I'm sorry, madam, did you say DUI?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Por manejar bajo los efectos del alcohol.
Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Nada más, su señoría.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
Gracias, señora Campbell.
Yes, Your Honor. To add to the history.
Para agregar a este historial.
The 2022 arrest for battery family violence.
El arresto por golpes y lesiones y violencia familiar.
Does involve the same victim.
Involucra a la misma víctima.
Juan Carnala.
Juan Carnala.
Who is also position 4 on the calendar.
Que también está en la posición 4 en la lista de causas.
Position 4 and position 1 involve the same parties.
Y la posición 4 y 1 involucra a las mismas partes.
However, it is 2 separate incident dates.
Sin embargo, son dos incidentes con diferentes fechas.
I also have that the 2018 DUI was also a probation revocation, a conviction for that.
Y tengo que la sentencia del 2018 por manejar bajo los efectos del alcohol fue en realidad una cancelación de probatoria.
And the facts as alleged for this defendant
y se alegan los hechos para esta acusada
are that on the date of December 18th,
que en la fecha del 18 de diciembre,
excuse me, Ms. Campbell, courtroom through, would you mind muting yourself, please? We're getting some feedback or some noise.
Sorry about that.
You're fine. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Campbell.
On the date of December 18th, per the cross-defendant Juan Carnala,
la fecha del 18 de diciembre, el co-acusado Juan Carnalia,
this individual, Ms. Doris Aguilera,
con esta individuo, señora Doris Aguilera,
who Carnala describes as his ex,
a quien el señor Carnalia describe como su ex,
arrived at the location of 145 Northwood Drive.
Llegó al domicilio de 145 Northwood Drive,
which is Juan Carnala's residence,
que es la residencia del señor Juan Carnalia.
And according to Carnala, Doris Aguilera attacked him.
De acuerdo a Carnalia, Doris Aguilera lo atacó.
Officers did observe bleeding and lacerations to Carnala's face.
Los oficiales de policía observaron hemorragia y también lesiones en la persona del señor Carnalia.
And Miss Aguilera did admit to the officers that she did scratch Mr. Carnala.
Y la señora Aguilera admitió a los oficiales que él ya rasguñó al señor Carnalia.
The state's recommendation for bond.
La recomendación para la fianza de parte de la fiscalía
for Doris Aguilera
para Doris Aguilera
is a $3,000 surety bond.
Es una fianza de $3,000 bajo garantía.
Stay away from the incident location.
Que se mantenga alejada del domicilio del incidente.
Of 145 Northwood Drive.
Del 145 Northwood Drive.
No further contact with Juan Carnala.
No tener más contacto con Juan Carnala.
As well as anger awareness.
Y también tomar una clase de control de la ira.
In light of the fact that these parties do have extensive prior history.
Debido a que estas dos partes tienen un historial extenso.
In which this particular defendant, Ms. Aguilera, has been arrested at least once prior to this.
En los cuales esta acusada ha sido arrestada por lo menos una vez.
For the same type of conduct, nothing further.
Por el mismo tipo de conducta, nada más.
Ms. Gant.
Señora Gant, gracias.
Ms. Doris Aguilera is 35 years old and has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area since 1997.
La señora Doris Aguilera ha tenido, tiene 35 años y ha vivido por 5 años en el área de Atlanta.
She is the primary caretaker of 3 children, ages 6, 13, and a 1-year-old.
Ella es la que cuida primariamente a 3 niños de edad de 6, 13 y 1 año.
She shares the 1-year-old with the complaining witness, Mr. Cornelia. However, she is not receiving child support for any of her children.
Ella el hijo de 1 año es de ella con el señor Cornelia. Sin embargo, ella no recibe ningún tipo de pensión alimenticia a ninguno de los menores.
She completed high school and has some college where she studied math and English.
Ella terminó la escuela secundaria y recibió estudios universitarios en matemáticas e inglés, algunos.
She states that she dropped out because she could not afford to continue pursuing her education.
Ella comentó que tuvo que dejar sus estudios universitarios porque no podía pagarlos para continuar.
Currently, she is gainfully employed as a housekeeper and has been so employed for 5 years.
Ella tiene un trabajo remunerado como en limpieza de casas por 5 años.
Ms. Aguilera strongly denies the allegations and she is presumed innocent.
Ella niega los alegatos y se la presume inocente.
In fact, she states that she was in her car. She asked Mr. Cornelia to exit the car. He refused and he hit her and she merely defended herself.
En realidad, ella lo niega porque declara que ella estaba en su carro y le pidió al señor Cornelia que saliera del mismo, pero él se negó, por lo cual ella tuvo que defenderse a sí misma.
While I do acknowledge that my client was arrested back in February 2022 for an incident involving Mr. Cornelia,
también debido a respecto al el arresto de febrero del 2022 por un incidente con el señor Cornelia.
she has not been convicted for that offense nor for any violent offense.
Ella no ha sido sentenciada por ningún delito ni por ningún delito violento.
In fact, she only has a driving offense that we heard about back in 2018.
Solamente ella tiene una infracción de tránsito en el 2018.
For these reasons, I am requesting a signature bond on Ms. Aguilera's behalf.
Por eso, de parte de la señora Aguilera, yo solicito una fianza bajo firma.
If your honor determines that she is ineligible, then I would ask for a reasonable bond of no more than $1,000.
Y entonces yo, si su señoría considera de que una fianza bajo firma no es apropiada, solicito una fianza no mayor para la señora de $1,000.
We are unopposed to the stay away and no contact orders.
No nos oponemos a las órdenes de mantenerse distanciados o no tener contacto entre ellos.
And we would ask that the court not order third-party transfer as my client does not wish for Mr. Cornelia to see his 1-year-old child at this time, Your Honor.
Y solicitamos que su señoría no ordene el transporte de los niños a través de una tercera persona, ya que la señora Aguilera no quiere que el señor Cornelia vea a el hijo de 1 año de edad.
And that goes to Mr. Cornelia being charged with cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, Your Honor.
Y eso por por el cargo de crueldad ante un menor, su señoría.
Nothing further, thank you.
Nada más, gracias.
Ms. Campbell, do you know what the bond and the conditions were for the DeKalb County incident?
Señora Campbell, ¿usted sabe cuál fue la fianza y las condiciones para el incidente del condado de DeKalb?
I did call and it's in pre-file status.
Yo llamé, pero está en un proceso antes de ser archivado.
They could not provide any bond information for me.
No me pudieron proveer ninguna información acerca de la fianza.
Ms. Jackson, for position number 4, Mr. Juan Cornelia, do you have his history?
Tiene su historial, señora Jackson, para la posición 4, el señor Cornelia.
Please, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, just briefly, I would consent to Ms. Gantz's request for no third-party transfer of the child. The state was going to note during its bond argument for Mr. Carnala that the state also wants Mr. Carnala to have no contact with the child. So I don't object to that at all.
La Fiscalía quería aclarar de que estamos de acuerdo con la licenciada Gant de que no se ordene el transporte de una tercera persona del menor, porque no queremos que tampoco tenga contacto con el niño.
Well, thank you for that, Ms. Campbell. I want to have all the information before I make my decision, as I am very reticent to keep a child from their father and a father from their child.
Sí, yo en realidad gracias por eso, pero necesito saber, tener más información para tomar una decisión y sobre todo para aclarar el porqué de distanciar a un padre de un hijo y un hijo de un padre.
The history, Ms. Jackson?
The defendant has 6 cycles.
El acusado tiene 6 ciclos en sus antecedentes penales.
The defendant's last arrest was February the 23rd, 2022 in Fulton County.
El último arresto del acusado fue 23 de febrero del 2021 en el condado de Fulton.
For 2 counts of battery, family violence, and
Por 2
cruelty
cargos de golpes y lesiones y violencia familiar y crueldad ante un menor.
and cruelty to children in a 3rd degree.
Y la crueldad ante un menor fue en el 3er grado.
And criminal trespassing.
Y por allanamiento de morada.
That case number is 22 CR 00103 5 in the letter F.
Y es el caso número 22 CR 001035F.
The defendant has 1 felony sentence that was in 2008. The defendant received a nullo contendory sentence out of DeKalb County for entering an automobile with the intent to commit theft.
El acusado tiene un delito mayor en el 2008 con una sentencia de no disputar por entrar en un automóvil ajeno.
Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Nada más, Su Señoría.
Ms.
Your Honor,
Campbell,
may I
was
add-
that with the same, this battery family violence, was that with Ms. Aguilera?
El de violencia familiar se refería a la señora Aguilera.
Yes, Your Honor. And it's actually 2 cases. He was arrested on that date that pretrial mentioned, but it was from 2 separate incident dates. So we have
One moment, please. Sí, eran 2 casos y él fue arrestado el mismo día. En realidad los cargos son. Thank you.
So instead of 1 open family violence case, this defendant has 2 prior open family violence cases involving this same victim. So this would be number 3 involving this same victim. And I have information as
One
to—
moment, please. Sí, entonces acusado tiene abierto casos de violencia familiar, tiene 2 casos anteriores, quiere decir que en realidad son el mismo cargo y es entonces el tercero que está relacionado con la violencia familiar. Thank you.
And Your Honor, there's a lot more information with those 2 open cases. I don't know if you want to hear that information now, but what I will say is that there was prior orders from this court, specifically by way of Judge Law.
Yo quiero aclararle que, Su Señoría, que hay mucha información que se tiene en estos casos. Yo no sé si usted quiere escucharla ahora, pero hay antecedentes penales que también ha tenido que conducir la jueza Lal.
Where Juan Carnala was ordered to have no contact with the infant child in this case.
En uno de ellos, en el caso que estamos refiriéndonos ahora, el señor Juan Carnala se le ordenó no tener contacto con el menor.
Or with Miss Aguilera.
Por la señora Aguilera.
Okay, anything further?
¿Algo más?
For Miss Aguilera, no.
No para la señora Aguilera.
Ms. Gant?
Señora Gant.
Nothing further from the defense, Your Honor.
Nada más de parte de la defensa, su señoría.
And it's going to be a $2,000 good bond. No further contact with Juan Cornelia. Stay away from the Norwood Drive address.
Van a ser $2,000 de fianza a través de la cárcel, no tener más contacto con Juan Carnelia y mantenerse alejado de la dirección de Norwood Drive.
And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo libertad, bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, ma'am.
Buena suerte, señora.
Okay, so
I'm not
if we
sure
can
if
get-
there is somebody else, Your Honor.
I think there is, I think they need to transfer them out. So if you'll just hold on one moment for us.
Thank you.
Okay, while we're waiting for that, and if once courtroom 3 comes back on, can we go ahead and put Madam Interpreter and Mr. Lynch into the breakout room with courtroom 3 when they come back, and I will go on to courtroom 2. Who do we have?
Position 15, Miller.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Miller. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008378A with criminal trespass and loitering and prowling. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
The defendant has 17 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was November the 2nd, 2022, with the City of Atlanta Police Department for criminal trespassing and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. The defendant does appear to be on probation in Fulton County for theft by taking. The case number is 16 SC 148178. That disposition date was March the 26th, 2019, and that term is for 7 years. The defendant has an additional open probation case that appears to be first offender or theft by taking. That case number is 17 SC 153553. That disposition date was March the 21st, 2019, and the term is for 10 years. The defendant does have prior misdemeanor sentences and a conviction. In 2019, the defendant received a nolo contendere sentence for criminal trespassing. And in 2018, the defendant received a disorderly conviction. And the defendant does have a history of probation violations. There was one in 2019, one in 2018, and one in 2017, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. Todd?
Thank you, Your Honor. On December 16th, Mr. Shane Frazier, that's SHAINE, Frazier, FRAZIER, received a notification from his Ring doorbell that someone was at the door. Mr. Frazier was able to speak to the defendant through the Ring application, and he asked the defendant asked Mr. Frazier if he lived at the home. Mr. Frazier stated yes, and the defendant left. Later that evening, Mr. Frazier received another notification and was able to see that it was the defendant who had turned to the address. At approximately 3 a.m. on December 17th, Mr. Frazier received a third notification from Ring stating that his front door had been opened. Mr. Frazier contacted the police, and when the police arrived, they could see the defendant sitting on the couch watching television inside Mr. Frazier's home. The defendant was asked what he was doing in the home, and he informed the officers that he was just looking for a place to sleep. As pretrial stated, he is currently on probation, Your Honor. He has violated a 2016 probation 3 times, as they said, and he has 4 convictions for criminal trespass and 1 conviction for a disorderly conduct which was amended from a criminal trespass. Considering his history, Your Honor, the state is asking for a $1,500 surety bond on count 1 and a $1,500 surety bond on count 2, making for a total of a $3,000 surety bond. We are also asking for no further contact with the victim, a stay away from 317 Main Street, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Nothing further.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Miller he was born in 1997, and he has been here in Georgia for about 9 years. Your Honor, he is actually homeless, and his 2 children are living with his mother. However, he is not really residing with mom at this point, Your Honor. So I was going to actually ask social worker services to provide housing resources for him to actually look into it. He has not had any employment for the last 4 years. And also, he does not have any sources of income at this point. So even $3,000 good bond will be no bond for him. And there was only 1 criminal trespass, and then all of a sudden they added loitering and prowling, which is the same thing as criminal trespass. We would like to request for a signature on bond, and yet if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we would like to request for $250 good bond for each charge, making the total $500 good bond. Thank you.
All right, it's going to be a $500 good bond for each charge, making it a $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the Main Street address, no further contact with Mr. Frazier, a social worker visit, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, Mr. Miller.
Judge, will you repeat that bond amount, please?
$500 good for each charge.
Thank you.
Position 11, Jalen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jalen. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Judge, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Jalen, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008382E with a false report of a crime, hit and run, duty of a driver to stop or return to the scene of an accident, and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Ms. Jackson?
The defendant has 3 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was March the 13th, 2022 in Miami-Dade County, Florida for petty theft. That charge was null pros on September the 12th, 2022. The defendant does appear to have an open case pending in Kentucky for possession of marijuana and trafficking marijuana and drug paraphernalia. There were no convictions listed in the GCIC honor. Nothing in addition.
Okay. Sarah?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place at the intersection of Juniper and 10th Street in Atlanta. The victim in this case, whose name is Wayne Hurst, that's Hurst, he stated that he was sleeping in his parked vehicle when the defendant crashed into his car. The defendant's co-defendant in this case, Onika, that's Onnika, last name DeSantos, she actually got out of the car to check on the victim to see if he was okay. The defendant then told the co-defendant, Mr. Santos, that they had to leave, and they both fled the scene. And less than 2 hours later, the defendant reported the same vehicle that he drove when he crashed into the victim. He reported that vehicle stolen. While the officers were arresting Mr. Santos, the defendant took flight. He was eventually captured. As we've heard from pretrial, the defendant does have an open case in Kentucky that's for trafficking marijuana and being a fugitive from another state. So he does present a risk of flight, Your Honor, and he's a multi-state offender. The current bond on this case is $8,500 surety. The state is willing to reduce that to $5,000 surety. That's $2,000 on the hit and run $2,000 on the false report, $1,000 on the obstruction, no contact with the cross defendant, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Matthew Jellin is 25 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 12 years. He does have family here, including his parents and a sister. He completed high school. He is currently enrolled at Kennesaw State University. He's studying accounting. He has about 3 semesters remaining, and his GPA is 2.9. When he is able to work part-time, he works DoorDash. He has been doing that for about 2 years. He strongly denies the allegations. He informed me that his girlfriend was involved in an accident. He was merely with her. He states that the police were being super aggressive and that he was scared and afraid of being hurt by the police. I did not hear about any convictions for Mr. Jellin. He is presumed innocent in this and any open cases. I'm requesting a signature bond on Mr. Jellin's behalf, Your Honor. And if Your Honor determines that he's ineligible, then I would ask for a bond of no more than $1,500, and that would be for the false report of crime, $250, driving hit and run, $1,000, and willful obstruction, $250, Your Honor. Thank you. And we are unopposed to the no contact order with Ms. DeSantos.
All right, it's going to be a $500 good bond on each charge, making for $2,000 good bond total. No further contact with Mr. Santos, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Jalen.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right, Judge, we're completed here in courtroom 2.
All right, so I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, you have a good one. Be safe.
Be the same.
All right, thank you.
What about position 17, Mr. Walker, Mario?
He's a felony. I gotta go get him.
Oh,
Let me go get him.
we gotta get him. He was in felony court as well.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, I'm going to have to step away to get Mr. Walker's file. He's
Okay.
in the felony group.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Okay.
I'll hold. Ms. Bridgewater.
Yes, sir.
Since we have some downtime, we only have 2 more people left. Would you like to go over the calendar?
If you would like.
It's up to everyone.
Yes, we will.
I'm trying to make the most efficient use of every, oh, no, here he is, here he is. All right, and let's see, Mr. Walker?
I'm sorry, yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Walker. Who's representing Mr. Walker?
I do, Your Honor, Petey Kim.
Okay, yes, Mr. Walker, I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Walker, you've been charged in case 22 CR 008377B with simple battery, family violence, and criminal trespass and damage to property. Is there a history? Do you have that, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. I apologize, I just got it, so please bear with me, Your Honor. I'm gonna go through it real fast. The defendant has 2 cycles. Okay, has the same arrest date, the current, I believe this is still the current arrest. It says December the 16th, 2022 for deceptive business practice, a misdemeanor. That's in College Park, Georgia. And the other one, possession of Schedule II controlled substance. Okay. The defendant does have that current case pending with in misdemeanor, Your Honor, for simple battery, family violence, damaged property. That case number is 22 CR 008377. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's the case that we're here for.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Kim, let's see, Mr. Walker, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. I will definitely give you the opportunity to speak with Ms. Kim if you need to regarding this matter. We've acknowledged that that you have a question or something for her. So give us a moment, and if you still need to speak with her afterwards, I'll give you that opportunity, okay? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Todd?
Yes, Your Honor. On November the 13th, what started as a verbal altercation over car insurance between the defendant and the mother of his 3 children, Miss Patrice Thurman, that's Patrice common spelling, Thurman is Thurman, was escalated when the defendant shoved her out of his way. The defendant then gathered his belongings and left the incident location of 5485 St. Lo Lane. On his way out, the defendant decided to grab a cinder block and throw it at Miss Thurman's vehicle, causing scratches on the body of the car. While the defendant does not have a significant criminal history, Your Honor, we are concerned about potential intimidation of the witness in this case. The victim, is the defendant's girlfriend who lives with the defendant and is the mother of his 3 children. As such, the state is asking for a $2,000 surety bond on count 1, a $1,000 surety bond on count 2, making for a total of a $3,000 surety bond, as well as no further contact with Ms. Thurman, a stay away from the incident location, third-party transfer of their children, 1-day anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Has your office spoken with Ms. Thurman, Ms. Todd?
At this point, Your Honor, we have not spoken with her.
Okay. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Walker is 41 years old, and he was born and raised here in Georgia. Yes, they do live together. They have lived together for the last 18 years, and they have 3 children, 10, 16, 17. He is the sole breadwinner for the whole entire family, including Patrice Thurman, who is a children's mother, but she is a stay-home mother. Your Honor, my client has his own business for home improvement, and he's self-employed, and yet he has been doing that from 2014, and he has been providing financially to those 3 minor children and his girlfriend. He has no objection to stay away from that location, stay away, and then also no further contact with Patrice Thurman as long as he gets to see his 3 children by third party. And also, Your Honor, he does not have any violence history. We would like to request for signature on bond. Thank you.
All right, so for the simple battery, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge. For the criminal trespass, $2,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge makes it a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge. 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Ms. Thurman, stay away from the St. Lo Lane address. He can go back to that address on 1 occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. Third-party transfer of the children for visitation, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thanks.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Walker.
Judge, was it through the jail or through pretrial?
That was through pretrial.
Thank you. 3,000, correct?
2,000 per charge, so 4,000 altogether.
Mr. I'll give you a call to explain everything. So, Mr. Walker, please stay silent.
Okay, so I think that we're waiting. I think we're done with courtroom 2. Thank you all this afternoon, and we'll wait for courtroom 3 to come back online.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Okay, so you want to go ahead and go over the calendar?
I would, if you all would like to.
Yes,
I would love to.
Okay.
Okay. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be January the 3rd, 2023. Okay, position number 1 is being reset to the SAP calendar. with a $2,000 good bond. Position 2, reset further notice with a $4,000 SOB through the jail. Position 3 is reset further notice. I'm getting an echo. With a $3,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 4, we're holding on. Position 5 is oh gosh, I had to write that one down. I'll come right back to it. Position 6 is reset to the SAP calendar with a $3,500 total good bond. Position 7 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through the jail. Position 8 reset further notice with a $1,000 total SOB through the jail. Position 9, I'll come back to it. Oh, that's a $3,000 SOB through pretrial, I believe, but I'll double check it and come back. Position 10 is reset to the SAP calendar with a total $2,750 good bond. Position 11 is reset to the SAP calendar with a $2,000 total good bond. Position 12 is going to the SAP calendar with a $2,000 good bond. Position 13, SAP calendar with a $2,000 total good bond. Position 14, reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through the jail. Position 15 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 total good bond. Position 16, SAP calendar with the $1,000 good bond. Position 17, reset further notice with a $4,000 total SOB through pretrial per judge. 18, reset further notice with a $3,000 total SOB through the jail. 19, reset further notice, $2,000 SOB through the jail. And 20, reset to the SAP calendar with a total $1,000 good bond. And by the time we finish this other guy, I will give you those amounts on the other cases.
I need for you to check on position 14 also, Ms. Bridgewater.
Okay, check on 14. I will.
Meeting is being recorded.
Okay, I can tell you about 14. I have it as a $5,000 SOB through the jail. And
Is that what everyone else has?
That's what I have too.
That is what I have as well, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yes, Your Honor.
thank you.
And I'll get right back with you on those others, okay?
Okay, thank you. And this is Mr. Kanala. Good afternoon, Mr. Kanala. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Buenas tardes, señor Canalia. Yo soy el juez Eric Morrow y esta es la lista de causas estatales de trámite rápido. Estamos conduciendo esta teleaudiencia y podemos seguir tratando su caso de esta manera.
You have to answer out loud.
Tiene que acercarse a la cámara fuerte y decir,
Sí, sí,
yes.
está bien.
Yeah, that's fine.
You have been charged with battery, family violence, and cruelty to children in the 3rd degree.
Señor, usted ha sido, tiene alegatos de golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar y crueldad ante un menor en el 3er grado.
We previously got from pretrial the history in the matter. So, Ms. Campbell, when you're ready.
Obtuvimos la información de la Oficina de Servicios Previos al Juicio. Señora Campbell, cuando esté lista.
Yes, Your Honor. The facts as alleged for this defendant are that on the date of November 5th of this year, at the location of 201 Northwood Drive, apartment G2 in Sandy Springs.
Señor, estamos en este incidente ocurrido por esta defensa de este acusado. Fue del 5 de noviembre de este año en la localidad del 201 de Northwood Drive, departamento G2.
This defendant did arrive at that location.
Este acusado llegó al lugar,
which is an apartment belonging to the victim in this matter.
El que es un departamento, ¿a quién le pertenece a la víctima en este caso?
Ms. Doris Aguilera from position 1.
La señora Doris Aguilera de la posición 1.
Officers learned that the defendant bit the victim.
Los oficiales supieron que el acusado mordió a la víctima
on her left forearm.
en el antebrazo izquierdo.
The bite did cause visible bruising
Y la mordida causó moretones visibles
to the victim's arm.
en el brazo de la víctima.
The defendant also hit the victim multiple times in her face with an open hand.
Y también este acusado golpeó múltiples veces a la víctima en la cara con la mano abierta,
which caused visible bruising to the right side of her face.
Lo que causó moretones visibles en el lado derecho de la cara.
All of these incidents did occur.
Estos incidentes todos ocurrieron
In front of the defendant and the victims.
En frente de las acusada y el acusado y la víctima.
Infant son.
Y en frente del hijo de ambos.
Initials.
Y sus iniciales son
JCA.
JCA.
And Your Honor, I do want to add a little bit more to the history. As to those two open cases here in Fulton County State Court, one case is for criminal trespass.
Ok, y también su señoría quisiera agregar más historial en estos dos casos abiertos. Uno es por un cargo de allanamiento de morada.
From an incident date in August of 2021.
Este incidente ocurrió en agosto del 2021.
Where the defendant is alleged to have punched out the victim's kitchen window.
Se alega que el acusado le dio un puñetazo en la ventana de la cocina de la víctima.
Because the victim, Doris Aguilera,
porque la víctima, Doris Aguilera,
would not allow him in the home.
No permitía que le entrara en su residencia.
Due to prior domestic violence incidents at that location, which is the same location in this incident.
Debido a los incidentes ocurridos anteriormente de violencia, que es el mismo domicilio mencionado.
He was given the benefit of a signature bond in that case.
A él se le otorgó una fianza bajo firme en ese caso.
However, he was ordered to stay away from Ms. Doris Aguilera.
Sin embargo, en ese lugar se le ordenó que se mantuviese alejado de la víctima Doris Aguilera.
Your Honor, he FTA'd on that case.
Él no compareció, no se presentó ante el tribunal por ese cargo.
On June 1st of this year.
En 1 de junio de este año.
As to the other open case with the battery, family violence, and the cruelty to children, the 2 counts.
Y por el otro caso pendiente de golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar y crueldad ante un menor.
There is a $5,000 surety bond in that case.
Existe una fianza de $5,000 bajo garantía en ese caso.
The alleged incident occurred on September 18th of last year.
Y ese incidente ocurrió el 18 de septiembre del año pasado.
It occurred at the same incident location as this case.
Y ocurrió en el mismo lugar del incidente de este caso.
Same 2 victims as this case.
Y las mismas 2 víctimas de este caso.
And again, he was ordered to stay away from both the infant child in this case and Ms. Doris Aguilera.
Y también se le ordenó mantenerse alejado del menor, de la víctima, Doris Aguilera, por la jueza Lau.
He also FTA'd on that case.
También él no cumplió como la comparecencia en ese caso.
On June the 1st of this year.
Y el 1 de junio de este año.
Accordingly, that bond was subject to a bond forfeiture.
Esa fianza estuvo sujeta a una confiscación.
But it was later set aside on August 23rd of this year.
pero se la quedó pendiente el 23 de agosto de este año.
According to his federal rap sheet, this defendant is also in this country illegally.
De acuerdo a los antecedentes o a su prontuario federal, este acusado está residiendo en este país de manera ilegal.
He was previously deported back in 2013.
Él fue deportado en el 2013
to Mexico.
A México.
He also has a 2008 arrest for aggravated assault.
Y también tiene un arresto en el 2008 por agresión con agravantes.
And 2 additional FTAs.
Y otras 2 más faltas de comparecencia ante el tribunal.
Accordingly, the state does believe that he's a severe risk of reoffending.
De acuerdo a la fiscalía, él representa un riesgo de volver a cometer los mismos delitos.
A severe danger to the victim, Doris Aguilera.
Y también de cometer daño a la víctima Doris Aguilera.
At this point, he's physically attacked her several times and been ordered to stay away from her several times.
En este momento, él ha atacado físicamente varias veces, se le ha ordenado mantenerse alejado varias veces.
And he hasn't complied with any of those orders.
Y él no ha cumplido con ninguna de esas órdenes.
So the state also believes he's a risk of flight.
También la fiscalía cree que él es un riesgo de huida.
Accordingly, the bond recommendation is a $5,000 cash bond, $3,000 on the battery, $2,000 on the cruelty.
300 on the, I'm sorry.
$3,000 on the battery, cash.
Uh-huh. And then?
$2,000 cash on the cruelty to children.
And I'm missing 2,000, madam.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's $2,000 cash on the cruelty to children. And $3,000 on the battery family violence for a total of $5,000 cash.
Thank you, ma'am. Entonces, lo que se recomienda por la fiscalía es una fianza de $5,000 en efectivo, siendo $3,000 por el cargo de golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar, y $2,000 en efectivo por crueldad ante un menor.
You're muted, Ms. Campbell.
Also recommending a stay away from the incident location.
También se le ordena mantenerse alejado del lugar del incidente.
And that is 201 Northwood Drive, apartment G2.
Que es el 201 Northwood Drive, departamento G2.
No further contact for the 3rd time with Doris Aguilera and the infant child, JC or JCA.
Y por tercera vez, se le ordena no tener más contacto con la víctima Doris Aguilera ni el menor JCA.
Nothing further.
Nada más de parte de la fiscalía.
Mr. Lynch.
Your Honor, my client is 33 years old. He has been in the Atlanta area for the past 20 years since he was about 13 when he first.
Your Honor, su señoría, mi cliente tiene 36 años y ha estado en el área de Atlanta durante 20 años.
He does work. He has had the same job for the past 4 years. He builds chimneys.
Él construye, tiene un trabajo por los últimos 4 años por el que construye chimeneas.
Prior to that, he was doing general construction work.
Y antes de eso, él hacía trabajo de construcción general.
He does have 2 children, including the child with the alleged victim in this case.
Él tiene 2 hijos, incluidos el hijo con la víctima alegada en este caso.
Both children he provides substantial financial support for.
Para estos 2 menores, él provee un importante monto de pensión alimenticia.
Additionally, his mother, who is in the Atlanta area, is unfortunately has been diagnosed with some form of brain cancer, Mr. Carnala is involved in helping her get to her treatments.
Adicionalmente, la madre que reside en el área de Atlanta ha sido diagnosticada con una forma de cáncer del cerebro y el señor González le ayuda a su madre con sus tratamientos.
We're not opposed to the stay away from the incident location. However, Judge, we would ask you to consider to leave open the possibility of contact with the child. I'm not sure, what rights he may have as to that, but he has informed me that he does have several family members that could facilitate that should it be something that he's able to do. I'm not sure the status of it.
Por favor, quisiera, no estamos opuestos con que se mantenga mi cliente alejado del lugar del incidente, pero quisiera pedirle a su señoría que mantenga abierto el contacto con el menor. No estoy seguro en los derechos paternales que él tenga con el menor, pero también podría haber familia que pudiese asistir en la visita de él con el niño una vez aclarada esta información.
With respect to the bond itself, Your Honor, we would ask that you not set the bond as a cash-only bond.
Quisiera que no, por favor, no otorgara una fianza en efectivo solamente, asumiendo.
Assuming that you're not going to consider a signature bond in this case, Your Honor, we would ask that you set this bond as a surety bond so that he may have some chance of being able to post the bond. He is, of course, presumed innocent in this case, and any other pending case that he may have. Obviously, the purpose of bond is not to punish the defendant. To set a $5,000 cash bond in this case, he essentially has no chance of making that bond. So we would ask, Your Honor, to consider.
One moment, please. Podemos, con respecto a la fianza, le quiero pedir que no otorgue esta fianza de efectivo solamente, dado que hay si usted no puede otorgar una fianza bajo firma, sería una firma bajo garantía que en un monto que él pueda pagar. A él se lo supone inocente y también acerca de los casos pendientes, queremos tratar de que no se otorgue una fianza imposible de pagar.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Nada más, su señoría.
Mr. Carnala,
Señor Carnala,
I am always reticent to keep a father from their children and vice versa.
Yo siempre evito de mantener a un padre distante de su hijo y viceversa.
However, in this case, 2 other judges have already ordered that you're not to have any contact with Miss Aguilera or the children.
Sin embargo, 2 jueces anteriores ya han ordenado no tener ningún contacto con la señora Aguilera y los niños.
So the problem is that you have proven yourself to be someone who's not going to follow the orders of previous judges.
Entonces, el problema es que usted ha comprobado de que no va a cumplir con las reglas o órdenes que han impuesto otros jueces.
So let me tell you what stay away means.
Déjeme explicarle lo que quiere decir mantenerse alejado de alguien.
And what no further contact means.
Y lo que quiere decir no tener contacto alguno.
No contact means that you can have absolutely no contact with Miss Aguilera.
El no tener contacto quiere decir que usted no puede tener ningún tipo de contacto con la señora Aguilera en absoluto.
No personal contact.
Ningún contacto personal.
No phone contact.
Ni contacto por teléfono.
No internet contact?
ni por la internet,
No contact through a third person?
ni contacto a través de una tercera persona.
No contact whatsoever.
Ningún tipo de contacto en absoluto.
And apparently you are in violation of those other no contact orders.
Y aparentemente usted está bajo incumplimiento de esas otras órdenes anteriores.
As you should not have been going back to the Northwood Drive address, I take it that he doesn't have anything there for a third-party escort since he's not supposed to be there.
Y como usted no tenía que ir a ese lugar de Northwood Drive, asumo que usted no tiene ninguna razón para regresar al mismo.
So it's going to be a $7,000 good bond for the battery family violence.
Por el cargo de golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar, yo ordeno una multa de $7,000.
A $3,000 good bond for the cruelty to children in the third.
That is $3,000, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Y quiero corregirme, señor, no era una multa, es una fianza de $7,000. $3,000 por crueldad ante un menor.
Which makes it a total of a $10,000 good bond.
Lo que hace un total de $10,000 de fianza en total.
No further contact with Ms. Aguilera.
No tener ningún tipo de contacto en absoluto con la señora Aguilera.
Stay away from the Northwood Drive address.
Y mantenerse distanciado de la dirección de la calle Northwood Drive.
And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras usted esté en libertad bajo fianza.
Right.
And Your Honor, did you address the no further contact with the other victim in the case, the infant with the initials JCA?
Señor, usted se dirigió a no tener contacto con el pequeño con iniciales JCA.
It was my understanding, as I said previously, that he had a no contact previous, correct?
Yes,
Entiendo que él tenía ya una orden de no tener contacto. Sí, su señoría.
And yes, I addressed that with him in detail just a moment ago as I was talking with him.
Y yo sí, se lo expliqué en detalle en este momento lo que significa no tener contacto con él hace un momento.
As I said, I am always reticent of keeping a child from his father and a father from their child.
Y también le aclaré que yo siempre no estoy predispuesto a mantener distancia entre un padre, un hijo y un padre.
And as I said, but in this case, it's already been ordered that he stay away.
Pero como dije, eso ya ha sido ordenado antes de que tiene que mantenerse distanciado.
Ms. Gant, did you have something?
Yes, Your Honor, two things. I would like to bring to the court's attention, if this hasn't been fleshed out, Mr. Cornelia's address, as I understand it, is 145 Northwood Drive, Sandy Springs, and my client, Doris Aguilera, her address is 201 Northwood Drive, apartment G2, Sandy Springs, Georgia. So I apologize.
Quisiera llamar, que se prestara atención. El señor Canaria tiene un domicilio del 145 Northwood Drive y el domicilio de mi clienta es 201 Northwood Drive, el departamento G2. Go ahead, Ms. Kim.
So regarding the stay away, as to Mr. Cornelia, he has to stay away from 201 Northwood or from 145 Northwood.
Entonces el señor Canalia tendría que estar alejado del 145 Northwood Drive o 201 Northwood Drive.
Where does Miss Aguilera live?
¿A dónde vive el señor Aguilera? La señora.
201 Northwood Drive.
201 Northwood Drive.
G2?
G2,
Yes.
Sí.
Okay, he's to stay away from that address.
Él tiene que mantenerse alejado de ese domicilio del 201.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Lynch?
¿Algo más, señor Lynch?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
No en este momento, señor.
Ms. Campbell?
Señora
No, Your
Campbell.
Honor.
No,
Ms.
señor.
Gant?
Your Honor, yes, while I neglected to bring this to the court's attention, my client, Ms. Aguilera, informs me that Mr. Cornelia still has her handbag and cell phone, and she is requesting that a third party, Mr. Mitchell.
Yo olvidé traer a presentarle, su señoría, que la señora Aguilera me informó que el señor, el acusado tiene en su poder su cartera y su celular y quisiera que se permitiera a una parte tercera, el señor Michel
Martinez be allowed to pick up her property from Mr. Cornelia.
que el señor Michel Martínez sea permitido traer la propiedad de venir a buscarla del señor Carnelio.
Does anybody have a problem with that?
¿Hay alguien que no tenga problema con eso?
No, Your Honor.
No, su señoría.
Not
And
something.
my apologies for the late announcement.
Me disculpo por anunciar esto tarde.
All right, Mr. Lynch, your client had his hand up, but I don't know if he doesn't understand something or if he has a question for you.
Su cliente levantó la mano, pero no sé si no entiende algo o quiere decir algo.
Mr. Carnala, it's my strong advice that you do not make any statements to the court at this point.
Señor Carnala, es mi consejo legal muy importante y fuerte de que usted no haga ningún comentario ahora al juez, por favor.
Okay, anything further?
¿Algo más?
Nothing from Ms. Gant, Your Honor.
Nada de la señora Gant.
All right.
Muy
Quisiera
bien.
saber si es bond o es cash.
I would like to clarify, is a cash bond?
It's a good bond.
No, es una fianza a través de la cárcel.
¿De cash?
No, I'll explain it to you.
Oh, okay.
No, yo se lo explicaré.
All right. Thank you.
Gracias, su señoría.
Okay, I think that completes the calendar. Madam Interpreter, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're
all.
welcome, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Have a
See
good
you
day.
next time.
Bye-bye.
Do the same. Ms. Bridgewater?
Yes, just for the sake of keeping the record, on positions 5 and 9 that I did not have the bond amounts for, they each were $3,000 SOB through the jail. And for the sake of position number 4, it is a $10,000 total good bond, and it is going to the SAP calendar.
Okay, thank you. Are we all good?
Were there any questions or comments from anyone? Okay, so I think we're good.
All right, very good. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good evening.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.